This conference will now be recorded.
Yeah, in today's session, we're going to discuss about loops in Python. Okay, if you take any programming language, if you want to iterate some sequence of elements, you have to go for looping. You can go for while loop or you can go for loop, depends on the requirements, application requirements. Okay, now same thing. The Python also, we language also, we have the loops to handle the looping requirements. If you have any kind of looping requirements, then you have to go for loopings. Python provides around three ways to for executing the loops. The first one we're going to see about while loop. While loop is used to execute a block of statements repeatedly until some specific condition is satisfied. Until the specific condition is satisfied, it keeps on executing the block of the code n number of times until the condition is satisfied. The condition is satisfied, it will break out of the while loop. It will break out of the while loop. Okay. The default boolean value for the while loop will be true. It will keep on executing the block of the code. Once it gets false, it break out of the while loop. Okay. Now, if you take any languages, there will be while loop will be there. In while loop, you can't see any else statement. If you take Java, you can't see any else statement in while loop. But in Python, they are giving additional syntax called else statement. You can use else statement in while loop. You can use else statement in while loop. When the else statement will work, right? If the condition gets false, the while statement condition gets false, then else block will be executed in while loop. If you take Java or some other languages, there won't be any else block in the while loop. But Python, we have additional constructs called else block. Once the while loop condition gets failed, it's going to execute the else block. As well as Python while loop, you have to follow the indentation. After colon, if you press enter, you have to follow the indentation for each line by line. You have to follow the indentation. The same character space indentation you have to follow for while loop. Now I'm going to create one directory called looping. Just go to file, make it as new, sorry, new, and then create a directory. Directory name is looping. That name is looping. Okay, hold a minute. I will delete this directory because it's creating under variables, right? Just for deleting, click the delete button and delete this directory. What you have to do, right click the Python scripts, go to new and then create a directory as looping. Okay, now I'm going to use while loop, create py file, and just make it as while loop. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to initialize one integer object. The variable name is count, and then value I'm going to make it as 0. We're going to discuss about while loop. Now I declared the variable as count. It's an integer object. The value will be 0. Now you already know while is going to execute the block until some specific condition is satisfied. Now what I'm going to make, count less than 3. Up to 3, what happens? It's going to execute this while loop. It's going to execute this while loop. After colon, just press enter. You have to follow this indentation for every statements. Same indentation space you have to follow for every statements. Now what I'm going to do? First you check for a condition. Though my condition is count less than 3. previously I declared count value 0. 0 less than 3 means the bool value will be true. Once it's true, what I going to do? I going to increase my count value. Count equal to count plus 1. After that, I going to print some word. So, end of statement. Just remove this redundant brackets. No need to put any brackets. If you need, as per the PEMDAS rule, what you can do, if for parenthesis, you can put parenthesis over here. Parenthesis for first preference. Okay. E is exponentiation. As per PEMDAS rule, E is exponentiation. D for division, M for multiplication, A for addition, S for subtraction. As per the PEMDAS, I put in bracket over here. There are no need of brackets. You can directly mention count less than 3. If you are putting some multiple condition, at the time you have to use the parentheses. Okay. Now, how many times it will execute? The print statement execute how many times? 0, 0 less than 3. The end of statement printed. After the count value will be increased. Now the count value will be 1, 1 less than 3, and then it's going to print the end of statement. Afterwards, the count will be at 2, 2 less than 3, end of statement printed, and then finally
3.
the count value will be 3, 3 less than 3. The bool value will be false. The while block, the boolean value false. It will come out of the while loop. It won't execute. Okay. Now I'm going to run the statement. You can able to see the end of statement is printed 3 times. If you want to know the flow, how it's executing, just keep the line breakpoint over here. You can debug and see the flow, how it's working. Okay, if you have 10,000 lines of code to 20,000 lines of code, okay, you want to know what is happening at the particular line of code. Okay, for that, what you can do, you can put a line breakpoint over here, and then right click. You can make this as debug, because my py file name is while loop. That's why showing as while loop. You can click on the debug. Now the debug mode will be open. You can see the debugger mode is open, and then you can see step over. Step over means you can move to the next line. If you want to move to the next line, you have to use step over. Step into means if you want to go inside the method, you want to click the step into. Okay. Now I want to move to the next line. Then I want to use step over. Click on step over. Now you can see what's the count value now. In the evaluate expression session, you can see the count value. Count value is 0, right? 0. Again, you can click the step over. It will move to the next line. Okay. Now the count value is increased to 1. You can see over here the count values came to 1 in the evaluate expression session, or you can see in the session, you can see the count value is 1. Afterwards, what you can do, you can click the one more step over. Now the count value increment from 0 to 1. Again, press step over, and then it will check for the boolean condition. The boolean condition will be true now because 1 less than 3, and then it's entered into the while loop, and then now the count value is going to increase. Once I execute in step over, the count will execute into 2. You can see count value will be, it's an integer object actually, it will belongs to 2. Like this, you can see the flow by putting the step over line by line, and then you can see the expressions, like what's the value actually now for each flow. You can able to see the count value. This is how you can able to understand the while loop. If you want to come out of the debugger, what you can do, you can terminate this debugger section. It will come to your normal Python console mode. Then you can start executing your programs. This is how you want to debug actually. Okay. Now I'm going to discuss about the else block. In any of the languages for while loop, there won't be any else block. But Python, they given an additional statements, syntax called else block. If the while loop gets false, when the while loop will get false, once my count is 3, at the time a while loop will get false. At the time, the control will be directly transferred to else block. it will execute my else statement. What I'm going to do, right? I want to come out of this indentation and then just type colon else block. Just I'm going to print end of statement, end of second statement, end of loop. Okay. See, until it's true, it won't go to the else block. Once the while loop gets false over here, if the count is 3 less than 3, it will get false. Then only the end of loop will be executed. Okay. Now what's the output? 3 times will get end of statement. The fourth one it's going to print. One time it's going to print. End of loop it's going to print. Okay. You can see. If you want to see the flow, you can debug by putting the line breakpoints over here, a particular point, and then you can debug and you can see the flow. Okay. Totally you can see the 4 outputs. This is how you can use while as well as else block. In any other language, you can't see the else block. Okay, in if condition, you can see the else block. While loop can't see any else block in any other languages. If you go for C or C++, Java. Okay, now I want to say about the infinite loop. Infinite loop. How to make the while as infinite loop? You can make it simple. Make count equal to 0. Count equal to 0. Just to go to the while loop. You can use parentheses as per the PEMDAS rule. Count equal to 0. Put colon. You have to follow the indentation for every statement. After the while, I'm going to print the hello world. See, single equal to means assignment. Double equal to means comparison. Should keep in mind. Single equal to means assignment. Double equal to means comparison. Okay. See, this kind of while loop. This kind of while loop is not suggested in programming because it's going to run infinite number of times the loop is going to execute because I'm making count equal 0. I'm going to get the boolean is true. It's going to print hello world. Again, count equals 0. Hello world is going to print infinite number of times hello world. Okay. This is not suggested to use this kind of infinite while loops or infinite for loops in the programming languages. For your understanding, I am showing to you is printing infinite number of times hello world because the condition gets satisfied by every times, right? Count equals 0, count equals 0. If you want to terminate, what you have to do? You want to terminate your interpreter, that's it. Okay, additionally you want to interrupt your program by killing this your interpreter. Now the while count equals 0 is being interrupted. It will run infinite number of times until you're interrupting. You keep on executing. Just interrupt your program. Okay. Okay. Next we're going to see for loop. See, these are the basic things I'm saying to you. After this loopings and then operators, we're going to work on the programs. At the time, it will be useful for you. Okay, don't think we are taking only basics. Going to cover some complex part as well. But as a beginner, you should know all these basics. When to use else block. In for loop also, you can use else block. If you take Java, you can't use else block in for loop. But in Python, you can use else block over here. Now, we're going to discuss about the for loop now. For loop is used for sequential traversal. For sequential traversal, I'm going to iterate the elements one by one from a list, or it can be a set, or it can be a tuple. Okay. In normal, if you take any C language, C plus languages, what we have to do first, we have to perform the initialization. I'm saying about C++. First, you have to put the initialization, and then you have to put some condition, and then you have to increment the value one by one. In Java and C++, you have to do like this. This is the actual syntax for loop. But in Python, you're going to traverse the element one by one from a list, or it can be a tuple, or it can be a set. You can able to iterate the elements one by one. Python will use iterator object to iterate the elements one by one from the list. Okay, when compared to other languages, this Python is somewhat different. For loop, we're going to use the iterator object and then iterate the elements one by one element from the list. Okay, now I'm going to write one syntax for loop over here. The for loop syntax for Python will be for iterator variable. You have to use variable. You're going to use iterator variable. It's actually syntax, and then in statement you have to use, because from the list I'm going to iterate one by one elements and then I'm going to put in this iterator variable reference. Here I want to use a sequence. The sequence can be list, or it can be a tuple, it can be a set. Okay, the sequence can be a list, or it can be set, or it can be tuple. Okay, and then you have to execute your statement one by one. Statements you have to execute. This is the actual syntax in syntax for loop in Python. Okay, now what I going to do using this syntax, I going to use a for loop. As of now, I commenting this syntax. Let's make a for loop. For what I have to use? I have to use iterator variable. The iterator variable should be, I can going to put m, and then you have to use one in statement. You might have a question, why are you using in statement? In statement means it's going to take the elements one by one from the iterator object. Iterator object means sequence from the iterator object, and then it's going to place that, it's going to map the, it's going to map the values for the m iterator variable. The in function, what it's going to do, it's going to take one element and then it's going to map for this iterator variable m. Okay, now what I'm going to use, I'm going to use one range function. Already you know about range function. Range function is going to give a range of values. You want to specify the start index as well as stop index. The start index we are going to specify as 0. The stop index I am going to specify as n equal to 8. What I am going to mention 0 comma n. Start index 0, stop index is n, 0 comma 8. It's going to give 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, because the stop index you have to put n minus 1. 8 minus 1 will be 7, and then put colon, just print the values. Print the m. Now you are going to get 0 to 7. You can able to see 0 to 7. Okay, now we're going to see how to iterate a list, how to iterate a tuple, how to iterate a string, how to iterate a dictionary. We're going to see one by one. What I going to do now, I going to take a list, just make it as heading as list iteration, and then make one list, list underscore 1 equal to list. What bracket you have to use? You have to use the square brackets, and then welcome to Java world. Getting a list. Welcome to Java world. Okay, I created a simple list. Now I want to use a for loop. How can I use? I want to use a for syntax, and then I have to put the iterator variable. The iterator variable I'm going to use m, and then in function what it is going to do? It's going to take the value one by one and going to map to the iteratable variable. Okay. Now after in, I want to give some iterator object. What iterator object I want to give? I want to give the iterator object as list underscore 1. This is my iteratable object. Okay, that's going to be list, and then just print the value. Just print the value of m. You can able to get the values. Welcome to, and then Java world. This is how you can iterate the list. Next we're going to see how to iterate a tuple. How to iterate a tuple. Tuple iteration, and then want to get tuple. How you can to get tuple? You can use a parenthesis and then put the same content over here. Welcome to Java world in the tuple. Okay. Now use same for loop over here. Instead of list underscore one, I'm going to make tuple underscore one. Okay. Just pass the tuple iterable object over here, and then you can iterate the values one by one using tuple. Welcome. It's iterating the value welcome, and then getting two, and then getting the Java world. Okay. Now how to iterate a string? How to iterate a string? Just copy as it is. How to iterate a string? Let's make a string iteration. Now make it as string underscore one. Just remove this tuple and then keep only Java world. Give the iterator string iterator object as string underscore one. What it's going to print? It's going to print the character by character J A V A W O R L D, because it's going to take empty as a delimiter. Okay, empty as a delimiter, and then you're going to split character by characters. You can see. You can see KAVA world. Okay, this is how you can iterate the string. Now we're going to talk about the dictionaries. How to iterate dictionaries. How to iterate your dictionaries you're going to see. Just copy as it is. It's dictionary going to dictionary iteration. How to get dictionary? How to create a dictionary? B equal to, first you have to get an empty dictionary, which is a dict built-in function. Yeah, dict of you can call, and make it as just I want to pass a key and value, right? Just make it as pass some key. What I can pass, like okay, I'm going to pass the key value as key underscore one is my key, and then string you have to give the value. Okay, I'm going to pass some 123, and then key you're going to pass key underscore two. Value also will be string actually now. Okay, so you can use single quotes or you can use double quotes, both are string only. And then 345. Okay, now I'm going to do same for loop. This time you want to give the iterable object of dictionary. Just pass some D. Okay, that's it. You can able to iterate the values one by one. Why I'm not getting the dictionary? I'm not getting the dictionary. Wait, hold a minute. Why I'm not getting the dictionary? From 20M only, right? I'm not getting 123 and 345. Okay, D equal to dictionary given. I'm not getting this dictionary. Okay, let it be. Make it some integer. 3, 4, 5. Maybe a dictionary iteration. Yeah, it's printing. Yeah, actually, it's printing a key only. Okay, key underscore one, key underscore two is printing. Oh my god. I want to remove this thing. Make it as, why are you getting key underscore one, key underscore two? What is happening over here? Yeah, See, whenever you are using dictionary, what you have to do, if you are printing only, see, it's going to what it is, the D is the dictionary iterable object. It's going to iterate the values one by one. It's going to give a key. If you want to know your value, what you have to do, you have to pass D of M, you have to pass dictionary of, you have to pass the one by one key over here, then only you'll get the corresponding value. Okay, just make it run. You can see key, the M is going to give only key. If you pass dictionary of key value, dictionary of key, then it's going to give the value. This is how you can do. See, already I said about some formatting to you. What you can do, you can use the modulo operator, you can do some formatting over here. What formatting you can do? Use single quotes, you can use double quotes, percentage yes, okay, it's a string actually, and then p is somewhat integer, right? I was trying using percentage d because this key is actually a string, right? Because I did single quotes. Now what you have to do, just use one bracket, parenthesis, and then use modulo operator. It's actually a string formatting. Actually a string formatting. You can able to see. Can able to see. You can format like this. You'll get the key and then you get the value. The percentage yes. The percentage was string. Percentage d will be a integer object. 123 is integer, 345 integer. That's why I'm using the percentage d. After string, what you can use? You can use dot format, or you can use percentage modulo operation to perform the string formatting. Okay, this is how you want to iterate the dictionary object. Okay, now the last one we're going to see how to iterate over set. How to iterate over a set. Just copy and paste as it is. Remove this dictionary. I'm going to perform the set iteration. For set, what symbol you have to use? Set, what symbol you have to use? You have to use butterfly brackets, and then I'm going to give some elements 56, 67, 67, 89, and make it 90, and then actually it's all belongs to your integer object, right? Just make, remove the percentages instead of modulo symbol you can use format, and then just put the m value alone. Just put the m value alone. Okay, you can mention some meaningful conventions over here. The given set, the given set is, okay, this is how you can do the string format using format option. What you can do, don't use modulo, just you can place one placeholder for format and give the position as 0. Why are you getting yeah, instead of d, what I have to do, iterate object, I want to give set underscore 1. If you run this program, you will get 67 and 23 and 56, 89, and then you'll get 90. We can able to iterate the list tuple set dictionaries, you can able to iterate. Okay, now I'm going to show how to iterate by the index of the sequences. Iterating by the index of sequences. I'm going to show. Okay, what I'm going to do, right? Like dictionary, what you're passing, you are passing a key. In the dictionary, passing the key, getting the value, right? Like this, I'm going to pass the index. I'm going to pass. I'm going to pass a corresponding index, and then I'm going to get the value. For this, I'm going to take one list. Already I have one list, right? I'm going to use the same list now. Welcome to Java world. I'm going to take this list underscore one. I'm going to paste it over here, and then I'm going to add some more elements. Python, and then we have Jython also. Python. Okay, this is also your language. It's written by Python only. Python, Jython, Python, CYTH1 languages. Okay, in the list I'm keeping all this welcome element, two element, Java world, Python, Jython, Python. Okay, welcome index 0, two index is 1, Java world index is 2, Python is 4, Jython is 5, index is 5, Python is 6, index is 6, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 0, 1, 2, 3, Jython is 4, Python is 5. Now I want to go into iterate the index by I going to iterate the index, and then I'm going to get this value. Okay, how to get this value? Just use a for loop. Just have the iterator variable as index. You can give any name. I'm going to keep index in range. In the range, what I'm going to do, right? I'm going to find the length for this, length of the list, length of the list. I'm going to use a length function, and then I'm going to pass variable as list underscore one. Now, what's the length actually? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Don't consider 0 for considering the length. Don't calculate 0. Okay, because index starts with 0. But if you are calculating the length, you have to say 6. Length is 6. Okay. Now, what I going to do? Just I going to iterate the sequence. And what's my list? This is my list, right? The list I want to pass some index. I'm going to pass the index, list of index. First, the length will be 6. The first index we're going to get 0. Now list 1 underscore 0 will be welcome, and then the for loop will be iterable, right? And then I will get the index is 1, list underscore 1 will be 2. Like this, I can iterate by the index of sequences. You can see I can able to iterate by passing the index. I can iterate the index, and then I'm going to pass the index through the list. I'm going to iterate the elements one by one at a time. Okay, this is how you can do iterate elements by. So I iterate the index of sequences. Okay, now you have question. I want to use my else block over here. You already shown to me while loop I can use else block. Till now we have not used else block over here. When to use else block? Yeah. See, in while loop we have some condition. If it is false, the else block will be executed. But in for loop, there is no such condition over here. See, it's the iterable object. You're going to iterate elements one by one. There is no such condition. But if I put else block in the for, what will happen? Once the for loop executed, successfully executed, after the end of this Python, my else block will be executed. Once my for loop completed its execution, then only my else block will be executed. What I going to do? I going to add my one else block over here. Come out of the indentation. Just want to use an else block. We're going to mention end of the for loop. End of the for loop. When it will get executed, else block. After your for loop successfully completed, then only your else block will be executed. Okay, it's executed. Okay, in the for loop, you are having some exceptions. you're having some exceptions or runtime exceptions you're having, at that time else block will not be executed. At the time else block will not execute that. When the else block executed, in the sense you have for loop execute successfully, then only else block executed. While executing the for loop, some runtime exception is occurring over in the for loop, then else block will not be executed. Just run this thing, you can see the else block end of the for loop. Okay, and then one more point also I want to discuss in this. Okay, what is on? Yeah, if anyone terminate, if a for loop is running, if anyone terminating manually by in the IDE through IDE, at that time else block will not executed. Once it's successfully completed, then only else block will be executed. The last we're going to see about the nested blocks. Sorry, nested loops we're going to see. Nested loops. Nested loops means one for loop we can use one more for loop. One while loop we can use one more while loop. Inside one more while loop we can use. That is called nested loops. Nested loops. Inside one for loop, we can use one more for loop. Inside another for loop, we can use one more for loop. That will be a nested for loop. You can use while loop as well. While loop, we can use one more while loop, means nested while loop. Okay. We can say we can allow to use one loop inside another loop in a simple terms. Now I'm going to uh, use one nested loop, nested for loop. In that, I'm going to print one triangle. In the output, I'm going to print one triangle by using some numbers. Let's see how I'm printing the numbers. I'm going to use a nested for loop. For m is the iterative variable. I'm going to use a range function. In the range function, what I'm going to use? I'm going to use the start index as 1, stop index as 5. The stop index, if you're giving 5, you have to make it n minus 1. Now you have to consider like 1, 4. Okay. Though I said it's nested for loop, again I'm going to use one more for loop over here. The iterative variable is n. In range, I'm going to pass this iterated value of m over here. What output I will get? Whether I will get the triangle, I'm going to print of n. I'm going to print this value, and then I'm going to use the end, because the print statement defaultly go to the next line. Okay, I want to print it in the same line. Okay, now what I going to do, I going to run this program. Let's see the output. Okay, but I want to get this thing in a triangle, right? What I have to do first, what will happen? M value will be 1. M value will be 1. This 1 will be passed to this range of 1. Okay, now the n value will be 1. 1 will be printed in the first line. 1 will be printed. Next, range of 2 will come. M value will be 2, right? Now the m will pass to 2 over here, and then now n will print like 1 and 2 in the second line, and then now m value is 3. Now n will print 1, 2, 3. Hold a minute. What, I made a mistake. Oh, hold a minute. First it's going to print the 1, and then n is going to print 1, and then I'm going to put the range as 2. It's going to print 2. Okay, it's going to print 2, and then now m value is 3. It's going to print 3. Okay, let it be. I'm going to print one empty line over here. Let's see the output. I want to give one space over here. Now, no, I don't know why it's happening like this. I want to print 1, 2, 2, triple 3, and triple 4. It has to print. Where I'm making mistake? Where I'm making mistake? The m value is 1 now. Now the m value will be 1 over here. The n has to print to 1. It's printing 0. It's happening like this. Hold a minute. I want to import not like this. From future, I want to import module print function. Let's see. Okay, should be printed in the beginning of line, right? Just cut this thing and print in the beginning of the line. Okay. Where I making mistake? 1, 5 only range. Why it's not printing 1? Why it's printing 0? Why it's printing 0? Okay. I made a blunder mistake over here. What I have to do I have to make it CM over here. Okay. Now it's going to print the 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 3, 4, 4, 4. This is how I can print a triangle. See the code over here. See what I did, right? Range 1, 5. The stop index will be n minus 1. Yeah, it come like 1, 4. Okay. Now I passing the m value as 1. Now this m value passed to the next for loop, nested for loop. Now n value will be 1. It's printed one time. Now 1 is printed. Now m value is 2. M value will be 2. Now I given the range as 2. Okay, it's going to print 0 and 1, right? Two times it's going to print. Now I printing this m value as 2 is printed multiple times. Now the third value, m value will be 3. M value will be 3. Now put over here 3. 0, 1, 2, 3. 3 times it has to print. It has to print the m. Now the m value will be 3. That's why printing the 3 times. And then it's going to give the m value as 4 now. Let's put the 4 over here. 0, 1, 2, 3. The 4 has to print 4 times. 4 times. This is how you can be able to print a triangle using the nested for loop. Okay. See, nothing to worry about this function. I will discuss this thing later. Okay, like why you have to use this module, future module. Okay, in order to give the proper indentation, you have to use this module called future module, and then the print function will be there. It will give you a proper spacings between the each lines. You can see each line there is some proper spacing will be there. For that only the reason we are using this module. Actually, it's not required as of now. Okay, this is a logic to write your nested for loops. Okay, now, okay, I'm going to talk about the continuum statement. What is the use of continuum statements? What is the use of continuum statements? Now, what I going to do is on for loop, k, it's iterable variable. Now I'm going to use in string Java tutorial. It's my string. If I iterate a string, what will happen? I'm going to iterate the character by character. It's going to iterate. In that, I'm going to use an if condition. If condition, what I'm going to do? If k, I'm going to use a comparison operator. If I get a character, I'm going to use one condition called or condition, and then you're going to use a comparison operator. W equal to T. I going to use one statement called continue statement. What the continue statement will do, it will skip those characters. It will skip those sequence. See, in this A is coming, right? If condition gets matched A or T, it's going to skip those A as well as T. It's going to print all the remaining sequences in the iteration. In the iteration, what you can do, just come to the if loop, print, make it as current characters is comma k. Now you can able to see. You can't able to see the A and T. The continue statement, it will skip the characters, skip that sequence itself, or you can say it's going to skip that iteration. Whichever the k value gets matched, the k value iteral variable is k a. If it gets matched, it's going to skip the sequence. You can't see the a and t. That's why I mentioned if k equal to a or k equal to t, then you have to skip those iterations. That's the use of continue statement. Okay. Okay. Now we're going to see about the break. We're going to see about the break statement. What the break statement will do? It brings the control out of the loop. It brings the control out of the loop. I'm going to use the same example, just copy and paste over here. Instead of continue, what I'm going to use? I'm going to use the break statement. If A or T character gets matched, because it's going to iterate character by character. First J is going to come. It's going to check if loop J is there or not. J is not there. Okay. Directly it's going to print current character is J. Then it's going to come to A. If A gets matched, now it's going to break my for loop. Break my for loop. You can see. Yeah, you can. Yeah. Otherwise, I'll do one thing for understanding. Put double quotes. I'll make break statement. You can see only J is printed. Once A comes to the once A characters map to the K variable, once K is comparing with the A, sorry, once K is comparing with the A, it's matched. I am breaking that for loop. Now, if my K variable is second iteration, my K variable is A, okay, then I can able to break the my for loop. This is how you can use a break statement. Break statement used to control out of the loop. The last thing we're going to see, pass statement. Have you heard the statement? Pass. Pass statement in Python. See, pass statement, mostly they will write some empty loops. Mostly they will write to use for empty loops. Can keep in mind. Write for empty loops. Okay. It's not suggestible actually. Now, what I'm going to do? I'm going to get some empty loops or empty functions. See, I'm going to get one function. Define. I'm putting colon over here. If I'm not putting any statement in my function, it will throw compile time error. Okay. If I want to create a empty function, I can use what I can use. Sorry, hold a minute. I want to place the brackets. I can use a pass statement. Okay, you can use the pass statement. If I want to create an empty function or empty loops, I can go for this pass statement. You can create here. Now I create an empty function. Now, if I want to get some empty loop, what I can do? empty loops. What I can do again, you can use for loop. Have one k iterable variable in, give some string Java world, okay, and then activate a empty for loop. I create an empty for loop without there's no any condition. If condition nothing is I'm given, just create a empty for loop. If you are using pass statement, you can create empty loops. That's it. If I run this thing, what I'm going to get? Nothing I'm going to get. Nothing I'm going to get. This is the use of pass statement. Okay. If you are creating any function, see if I'm creating any function, empty function, you can use this pass statement. Just create some function. I can use pass. Okay, this is empty function. This is empty loop actually, right? Empty loops. Okay. Now what I going to do? I am going to create an empty class. I'm going to create an empty class, new py file. I'm going to make it as for loop underscore two. I'm going to make a class. The class name is Apple. See, if I'm creating a class called Apple. I created a class called Apple. Now if you leave as it is, it's throwing one compiled terminal. You can able to see, right? You can able to see one recur over here, right? If I want to get an empty class, what statement I have to use? Pass. You can use this statement for creating an empty function, empty loops, a empty class also you can able to create using this pass statement. That's the use of pass statement in Python to create empty loops or empty functions or empty classes. Okay. Now, the last one you're going to see, this is the last actually for end of the class. What I'm going to show is how the for loop is working internally. No one knows. Everyone knows it's going to iterate some list. It's going to iterate some dictionaries. I have to iterate the tuples. It's going to iterate the values one by one at a time. In the dictionaries or tuples, it can have strings, it can have sets. They will say. No one knows how it's iterating, how it works internally. That thing I going to show now how the for is working. For that I going to take one example as what kind of fruits you like. I going to keep all those things in a list actually. What is the fruits you like? Apple, oranges, and then grapes, watermelon. Okay, grapes, watermelon, and then kiwi, and then watermelon. Okay, like this I have the some fruits list over here. It's a list actually. Now I'm going to see how the for loop is working internally. How for loop is working internally. You might be having some confusion. This guy is saying some iterable object. What is the iterable object? How it's iterating one by one at a time? Everything have a question. For this you have solution. How for loop is working internally. Okay, now you already know it's a list. You want to iterate the elements one by one. First you want to convert this into a iteratable object. This is how the for loop is working internally. Okay, first what the for loop is doing internally, I'll say it's creating one iteratable object. How it's creating the sense? By calling the iter function. Iter means iteratable. It's going to iterate the elements one by one at a time. Okay, using this iter function, what you have to do, you have to call this variable in the iter function. What the iter function will do, it will iterate the sequence one by one. Apples, oranges, grapes, kiwi, watermelon is going to iterate the sequence one by one. Okay, now this is how it's internally working. The for loop is internally working, and then inside the for loop we have one more while loop. Now I'm going to give the condition as true. If I give true, what will happen? The loop will run infinite number of times because I given the true condition. Once the condition gets false, it come out of the while loop, right? I given while loop over here. You might have question, okay, like you given true over here. True means it's going to iterate all the elements. Okay, let's see how I going to break this while loop. See, I going to use one try block over here. You might have a question why I'm using try block. Try block used to handle the runtime. Try block used to if any runtime exception, say some any abnormal condition is coming, it will handle that. It will not going to handle. It's going to take the condition in the exception block. You're going to handle that exception. Whichever code exception going to occur, you want to put that thing in the try block. For example, I can show m equal to 10 by 0. 10 by 0. If you do this value, you'll get what you'll get. You'll get infinity. You'll get some exception, right? In runtime, you'll get some exception. This kind of code, what you have to do? You have to put in try block. Whichever code you thinking you'll get an exception, that kind of code you have to put in the try block. Okay. Now you're going to get some arithmetic exception. Its exception means some abnormal condition is going to fail because 10 by 0 will be infinity. Going to get exception like that. And try block, what I going to do? I going to use one variable called fruit equal to next function, next of iteratable object. What the next function will do? It will first will take apple. After second times while loop is running, it's going to take orange. After the while loop third time running, it's going to take grapes. After the fourth time running, it's going to take kiwi. After fifth time it's running, it's going to take watermelon. After sixth time, there is no elements in the list whether it will throw the exception or not. That's my question to you. See, I converted this list into idle object. This idle object I passing to the next statement. What the next statement will do? Once the while is true, it's going to take the apple first. After second time while loop is running, going to take orange. After third time, going to take grapes. After fourth time, going to take kiwi. After fifth time, going to take watermelon. After sixth time, while loop is going to get true because again condition is true, right? Sixth, there is no element whether it will throw exception or not. It will throw an exception. It will throw an exception. Runtime exception will throw. Now, what I going to do? If you are getting some runtime exception, you want to handle those exceptions. What I going to do? Listen here. First, I'm going to print the fruit. After watermelon, there is no element at all. There is no element at all. Okay, I want to handle that exception. Just come out of this indentation. Use except. Except means this except block going to handle that exception. What exception is going to handle, right? Once the exception get caught, I'm going to get the stop iteration exception. I'm going to get, okay. I'm going to get the stop iteration. Once I get the stop iteration, what I'm going to do? Using break statement, I'm going to break this while loop. I'm going to break this while loop. See, I'm saying to again on the next statement, what we'll do? It will take the element one by one: apple, oranges, grapes, kiwi. After watermelon, there is no element. It will throw an exception. The exception is called stop iteration exception. Exception is called stop iteration exception. The exception block will handle all the exception. In the exception block, what is given? Break. This break is going to break your while loop. Okay. If I run this code, it's going to work similar like a for loop. This is how the for loop will work internally. You can see apple, oranges, grapes, kiwi, watermelon. After watermelon, if I apply next, what will happen? It's going to give some exception, runtime exception. I am handling this runtime exception as stop iteration. Stop iteration. Okay. And then what I'm going to do? I'm going to apply the break statement. This break statement, what I'm going to do is going to break the while loop. You might have a question. Let's remove this try and exception. What will happen? Let's see. I'm going to remove these things. Let's see. Yeah, what happened? What exception I got?
Stop iteration.
Stop iteration, because after watermelon there's no element at all. That's why it's throwing some exception, runtime exception. It's a runtime exception actually. You have to say in the interview. Okay, stop iteration. That's why what I'm doing here, I know this next function, it's going to give some runtime exception if there is no element in the list. That's why whichever code exception I'm going to get, I'm going to put in which block? I'm going to put in try block. This try block will carefully listen to the every line of code, whether exception is occurring or not, exception occurring or not. If any exception is occurred, this except block, what except block will handle the exception. Just put colon, just copy this runtime exception and put it over here. What you have to make? Once you got the exception, you have to break the while loop. Okay. Once it comes to the watermelon, that after that there is no element at all. Okay, it directly comes to the exception block. The exception block will handle this exception called stop iteration. After that, in the exception block, we have one break statement. That break statement is going to break your while loop. That's it. This is how. Oh my god, what is happening? Why are you getting only apple? Why are you getting only apple? What's the mistake I did? Why are you getting only apple? Yeah, sorry. Except stop iteration, and then yeah, I have to use a column over here. Sorry, I made want to use a column over here. That's why it's throwing. You can see apple, oranges, grapes, kiwi, and watermelon. Okay, this is how the for loop is working internally. First for loop, what is it doing? It's converting your entire list into iterable object. After iterable object is using the next statement, iterating the one elements one by one at a time. After the last element, that's no such element will stop, iteration will come, because there's no element after watermelon. It will handle the exception of stop iteration. It will going to break the while loop. Okay, yeah. uh, Monday we're going to see the remaining looping as well as conditional statements we're going to see. If condition, there are a number of conditions we're going to see on Monday. As of now, I closing the session.